Welcome to Married to Movies. Industry insiders John Russell and Tracy Kring live and work happily in cinematrimony. They're sharing behind-the-scenes adventures of writing, producing, and appreciating films.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. Just enjoyed a little prick this morning.
Excuse me?
Not you.
Oh, thank you. Nothing little about me. Okay, anyway.
I had to get some blood work.
Oh, that kind of prick.
But
They wouldn't do me.
No, they wouldn't do you. They said, our lab doesn't work with your doctor. And the way she said it was like, there's a problem with your doctor. They're
Apparently
an asshole.
so. Apparently my doctor has been doing things while people have been under her or something. I don't know what's going on, but there's a big cover-up. And they don't want to... Oh, here we go.
I told you to silence that.
I did silence it.
We actually, and I tell people this all the time about our marriage. We are not good communicators.
Do you tell people all the time
I
that?
do.
Just walk up to random people. By the way,
we're
don't terrible at communicating.
No, this is the
Which
thing.
is why we're in the business of communicating.
No, in our relationship.
I think everybody can say that they have trouble with communication
No,
in
but
a relationship.
I think we're really bad at it because we don't have a 9 to 5 where we are separated for a certain period of the day, and then we come back together and we have to recommunicate, the highlights of things that have happened to us. We're together 24/7.
I think also we have kind of determined that this is a different thing, actually performing together on this podcasting.
I mean, we're not performing, but it is
we are performing.
performative.
Yeah, it is. It is performative. We're trying to entertain. We're trying to inform. And it brings out different issues.
I'm critical.
Yeah,
and I'm an editor. Like every facet of my being is an editor.
You're critical, and then you're also critical of how non-critical I can be.
Well, yeah, because I give critique, and I enjoy getting critique back. Mm-hmm. Not like nasty stuff, but I enjoy hearing, oh, Tracy, you I noticed about myself, I repeat everything.
You repeat everything?
I repeat everything. I don't know where this comes from.
That is a classic 60 Minutes, where you ask somebody the question in the way that you want them to answer.
Oh, yeah, that's their tactic.
That's their tactic.
Interview.
So what you're saying is that the man touched you in a place you didn't appreciate.
The man touched me in a way I didn't appreciate. Right. That didn't happen. No, I noticed that I will tell a story or tell a thing, say a thing, and then circle right back around and say it again. I don't know where that comes from and why I feel the need. Maybe I feel like innately I don't communicate well. Maybe you feel like
you're not being heard.
I actually woke up this morning and we woke up early to go to the lab.
Right.
And I immediately was on TikTok. That's just me.
Okay.
Immediately. I gotta find something on TikTok that I can learn. So I was listening to this
People
lady.
have a wrong idea about TikTok. I think that we should point this out. A lot of people think TikTok is just a bunch of people doing silly dances or talking about their, how to make, their favorite foods or
unboxings
okay. and that type of thing.
And if you lean into that, that's what the algorithm will show you. Mm-hmm. But if you start liking and watching for longer amounts of time content that you do enjoy, that's what will start coming to you. The algorithm will shoot that stuff to you. So this morning, it was, they were talking to this lady, and she's like a primatologist, and she was saying that they were looking at this certain troop of chimpanzees, and inside, that's what they're called, a troop. Inside this,
Troop.
I keep repeating myself.
There you go.
There were several chimpanzees that were experiencing depression symptoms. Oh. They were not eating with the other.
Were they watching Euphoria?
Yeah.
That'll do it.
But, you think about, why would animals display depression?
Right.
Right? Because of the things, that we know about maybe their world. There was a supply of food. There was not much struggle.
What was the family situation with the chimpanzees? Did they have happy family lives?
Yeah. I mean, they were just normal, like completely normal situation. Like they're a dad or they're a mom or whatever.
So it wasn't like an experiment, like we're trying to take things away from these chimpanzees.
No. They were just in the wild.
Okay.
So the primatologists are like, well, interesting. Let's see, because we do this to things in nature, like we fuck with them. So let's see what happens if we remove the depressed chimpanzees from the troop.
Okay.
So they removed them for 6 months, and then they brought the chimps back to see what the changes would be in the dynamics of the culture.
Interesting. And for that 6 months, they started to work at an Amazon hub house, right?
A distribution hub.
Yeah, distribution hub. Okay. Exactly, yes.
Yeah, we put them to work. So they ask people, like, what do you think will be the change? What will be the dynamic shift? Okay, you tell me. What do you think they will observe reuniting the depressed chimps with the troop? They were dead.
What?
The troop died.
The troop without the depressed chimpanzees died. Whoa, okay.
And what they have figured out is that the depressed chimpanzees were important to the culture and survival of the group.
Okay. In what way?
Because the troop were sensing factors, environmental factors.
Okay.
And they were sad about it.
Okay, so it was like the depressed chimpanzees were the canary in the coal mine.
Exactly.
Right.
That is exactly what she said. That we are all like canaries, and we need the depressed chimps basically to tell us, even to tell the canary that there's a problem coming. The canary just dies.
What was the problem that killed the rest of the troop?
Well, the depressed chimpanzees were possibly sensing a food shortage coming.
Okay.
They were sensing changes in the climate.
Were these psychic chimps?
No, they're empathetic.
Okay.
And they're empathic.
Okay.
So they were depressed for good reason.
They were prophesying like Daniel of old.
Well, if you see an extinction event coming, wouldn't that depress you?
I mean, yes. Yes, it would, obviously.
So what was supposed to happen was the happy chimpanzees that were just living life day to day, they were supposed to be impacted by the depressed chimps to be more observant. Like, oh, something is wrong. We should be more alert.
Okay.
We should be more aware of predators in our area. We should be more aware of, possibly moving on to a new area where there's more food.
So what you're saying is it's sort of like Jor-El talking to the heads of Krypton, that the planet is about to be destroyed.
Okay.
And then we send Kal-El, Superman, away. He is the depressed chimpanzee in this analogy.
My sexual attraction for you just bottomed out.
Oh, damn it. I didn't know it could go lower. Man, we're going subatomic now. This is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man, what is that realm?
Quantum mania.
The quantum
realm.
The
quantum realm of sexual attractiveness, right there.
Okay, I mean, I appreciate your knowledge of the subject matter, but I do not think that's
you don't think it's really relevant with Jor-El, Kal-El?
No,
okay,
so anyway, I just found that super interesting, and that basically, depression is a sign that there is something wrong.
That depression, actually, we should stop thinking of it as the most negative of emotions and instead think of it as an alarm that is going off inside of us and inside society.
Right.
To warn of an upcoming doom within the troop or within ourselves.
I just found that interesting because depression is on the rise and there's so many drugs to treat it.
Well, things are not getting better. Things are not going to get better. We're in almost a dark age right now. as far as, the climate and, crime and, I mean, just kind of everything, all along the line.
Look at, there's so many consumers of media, okay? Not just CNN and MSNBC. I'm talking about media as a whole.
Right.
Films, television. It's the era of, golden era of TV,
Right.
And there's so many consumers of content right now. TikTok and Insta Reels and Facebook Reels and YouTube. And there's so much content that's getting pumped out and so many consumers for it. But people like the WGA, the Directors Guild, SAG-AFTRA, all of these unions are like, excuse me, we're using our talent.
Right.
They are getting paid to do it. But why are all of these huge companies making profits and not sharing them? So they're striking.
Because they never have. That's the thing, is that a company has no interest in being equitable unless they're forced to be equitable.
And I think something like a theatrical release. I think this goes back to the invention of video rentals. This has never gotten figured out.
Right.
And it's only become worse as time has progressed. And now you have things like HBO, which are a combination of Warner, AT&T, Warner Brothers, Discovery, HBO, and now they've turned it into Max.
Right. Which is why you have something like what happened with Batgirl, where they decide that they would rather take the loss because it's a corporate decision.
Well, I just don't have access to union jobs. I don't, I don't really work on those. I mean, I
would you want that?
I don't know. Do I want to be working on a reality show for Discovery Channel? I don't know. I feel like I don't right now. Mm-hmm. There's a certain level of security, in those kinds of jobs, and and that's great. And when you're freelancing and you're looking for jobs all the time, security starts to look interesting.
It does, but you always know that with security comes a lack of freedom.
Yes, and basically, that's one of the things about independent film that's weird, is that we really work outside of the corporate.
Thanks to our sponsor, Movie Mode Merch, the graphic t-shirt store to outfit you for your next film set. Be the person wearing the t-shirt everyone asks, "Hey, where'd you get that shirt?" Cast and crew alike love these inside jokes and filmmaking-inspired designs. Check them out on Insta at Movie Mode Merch.
We don't have to adhere to corporate standards, even though we should, right? We should have our own standards that we need to work within. As far as how long a work day is. If you're working on an independent film, a lot of people will say, well, I'm only working 12 days. I'm working union rules.
Right.
We'll use the union rules even though we're not in the union because we don't want to work 18 hours a day.
It's kind of like the difference between, if you ever watch any of those Vietnam movies, okay? And then there's boot camp when everybody is on you and everybody is telling you to make your bed and that type of thing. And then you go out in the jungle and Creedence Clearwater Revival is playing and everybody is smoking pot and they're frying steaks.
That's set.
That's set. Yes.
That's being on set.
Yes. And the bombs are starting to go off and you're trying to have a beach party before, you get blown up.
That absolutely happens a lot. As soon as quitting time happens, people go off. They're getting drunk. They're smoking weed. They're partying in each other's rooms.
They're fucking.
They're waking up in other people's beds
yes,
in the morning.
Yes, they are. Yes.
But this innate, through the years and through experience, we try, even though you're dealing with adults, we try to tell people, don't fraternize,
All right.
We tell people, even though they're adults, that they shouldn't fraternize.
Yeah, it just leads to a tremendous amount of conflict, and nothing really good ever comes of it.
Well, and people start gossiping, and they're having a showmance, and you and I have kind of a joke where we're report it to HR. We don't have HR on film sets. If something does happen, or if a let's say a female feels sexually harassed,
there may be people listening go, you really should have an HR on a film set. I mean, there are a lot of things that you should have.
No, I'm well, and on larger film sets, it's not like this stuff doesn't happen.
Oh my God, yes.
Still, nobody reports stuff.
Right.
I mean, I don't care, like, but there's also like a confusion. Who do I report it to?
There are tremendously long hours on a film set. 12 hours is a long day.
Most people work 8 hours a day.
Yes. And it's also a different kind of effort. It's more of a mental effort. I mean, there is physical effort. Absolutely.
Some shoots can be very physical.
Very physical.
And very hot.
Depending upon your position on the film. Whether or not you're a gaffer or a key grip or, that type of thing. You may just be, lugging stuff around, points coming through all the time. But it's a mental effort. Because it's always trying to figure out, the next problem.
It's thousands of ideas.
Right.
Thousands of ideas.
Right. If you think you have a film that you want to make, and you say, I have an idea for a film, you don't have a film. You need thousands of ideas to make a film.
Yes, please. And be a person who can come up with ideas in a second.
Right.
I mean, we were on a film. Actually, last night we watched through the fine cut of Wheelies Inc.
Wheelies Inc.,
And
yes.
on that film, there were a lot of variables. We were outside a lot. There were just a lot of things going on. When you're outside, a lot of things can happen.
Right.
And, this person didn't show up. They're showing up late. This location just decided to sleep in today and blow you off. There's a lot of things that can happen. And so much so that you would walk up to me looking at me a certain way and I would know all hell was breaking loose. And I turned to you one time and I said, bring it on. What's your problem? Bring it on. I'm gonna blast this bitch with some of my creative ideas, and it's not gonna be a problem. You're like, well, the guy who said he was coming to open the door isn't coming to open the door, and he's completely ignoring me now,
right,
and acting like he doesn't know what's going on, even though he confirmed last night. And I'm like, fuck that guy.
Right.
We're going to shoot right here in front of the place.
Right, exactly. Let's take the coolest thing about the place, which is the background of this van, and we'll just go ahead and
you're
shoot
like,
here. Yeah.
you're like, well, yeah, but what about the actress that's supposed to be in there acting as a clerk? I'm like, see if she'll stay for a couple more hours. We're going to take her back to this other location we have access to. We're going to create a whole new scene for her.
Right.
And feature her.
Yeah.
And it's like, just bring these problems on.
You're making shit up.
Yeah.
And it's not because you're not prepared.
The thing I hate is when somebody, you observe this on other sets, when somebody comes up and offers the problem and their immediate response is, oh no, what do we do? I hate that.
Right.
I'm just like, problems are your next best thing that could possibly happen because they're going to make it better. Mm-hmm. Now you can take something that you did plan and say, fuck it, let's make something completely new. That happened. A beautiful example of that, which I love, was on this one film you were working around October last year. They got a call the night before.
Right.
The night before.
The COVID call?
Yeah, the night before the shoot. And no, it wasn't even COVID. He was just, the actor called. He's already there. He's already in the hotel.
Right.
We're making call sheets that night. And the actor calls and says he's very, very sick and has the flu.
Right.
And can't possibly act tomorrow.
Right. And this is a character who we have not introduced yet in the film. And he was very important. Basically, he was in the Scooby Gang. Okay?
Right.
This is Fred. Fred can't make it. We've got Velma and we've got whatever the other girl's name is. Daphne, thank you. And we got Scooby, but we do not have Fred.
Shaggy.
Yeah.
But we have no Fred.
Fred.
The whole place is gone up. I mean, basically, we're not shooting tomorrow.
Right.
It was like lighting a match and throwing it into a gallon of gasoline.
Right. It's like everything that we were supposed to shoot now was unable to be shot.
Right. So our first rule of indie filmmaking is look around the room.
Yeah.
Well, you called me.
Well, no. Well, what I said to him.
Hold on.
Okay. Okay. So you tell your part first. Go ahead.
Okay. So the actor says, I can't be there. I'm not doing this film. So you call me and you go, oh, we're screwed. We got to figure out how can we help this team. And I mean, we're not even producers or anything on this.
I was second AD.
Yeah. You tell me what's going on. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start calling some actors that I know are clutch.
We're looking for a new Fred.
Right. Good-looking guys who typically have a schedule that's flexible, who we've worked with before and we know are capable.
Right. They have the right age, the right look. Right.
I take 30 minutes. I also know another filmmaker in the area.
Right.
Which was very random, small area of Maryland. I call him up and I call a couple of actors. Within 30 minutes, I've got 3 options and one very definite.
But I had already figured out the problem.
I call you and I
Right.
say, here are my options. I have basically a guy ready to jump into a car in an hour. And
Right.
come.
But what I had asked them is, what does this guy have to be? Okay.
Right.
And they said, well, he needs to be, tall. He needs to be skinny. He needs to be about this age. He needs to, and basically they gave me the parameters. And I just kind of looked around.
Using our rule of
Right.
independent film.
And I
First
said-
thing, look around the room.
Right. And the character in the film, who is like the big bad,
He wears a mask.
Yeah, he wears a mask the entire time.
It's like Michael Myers.
Right, yeah. Kind of a thing. He's like a supernatural Michael Myers.
yeah.
So I said, you mean like him? And but what do you mean? I'm like, well, we don't see him.
He's an actor. He's the right size.
Right.
He's the right height.
He wears this mask, and you also have a body double that plays the character that wears the mask. So I understand that he's supposed to interact with, like, the Fred character. Why don't we just use the body double, and then we'll use him, and he'll play both parts in the movie?
And their minds were blown.
Yeah, it was just like, boom.
Yeah, so you called me back and you're like, thanks. That was a lot of effort. You had really good reaction time. But
It was like a race.
But I beat you to the solution.
Yeah.
And that's also one of our big rules is whoever has the best idea wins.
Right.
I had fixed it and you had fixed it.
Right. And this was someone that they already had.
They were already paying him.
Yeah, they're already paying him. They're already putting him up. They don't have to fly him in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it saved money. I mean, it was the perfect solution.
I had to convince him to do it.
Yeah, you had to kind of take him aside and have a conversation.
Right.
Because he was like, wow, I didn't know that I was going to have to be acting that much.
Right. So I had to
That
convince
much.
him. Then once he was okay with it, then I told the director about the idea. And then he was excited about it. And then he had to convince the producer. And then boom, there it was. There it happened.
Right. But look, if you're uncomfortable with that, if you're uncomfortable with chaos,
Right.
like, whew, you better get right with the Lord if you're going to be in film.
I mean, figure it out as you go. I mean, that's really what it is. Working on a movie is like like the Daytona 500. Okay, you have a car and you have a plan, and this is how you're going to win the race. But all these other cars have plans, and all these other cars have an idea of how they're going to win the race too. So it's all about the driver. It's all about what that driver does and how
split decisions.
Yeah, those split-second decisions, and when to try to get ahead and when to fall back and
how to
when
conserve
to draft.
your gas,
Exactly.
how to conserve your tires.
Right, and your pit crew.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what, and really that's what it is. So it doesn't really matter how well you plan the race and how good the car is. It comes down to the driver.
Well, speaking of pit crew, on that film, they were also like running really late nights because one of their locations, and we've faced that before on Little by Peep, one of their locations they couldn't get into until a certain time of night.
Right.
And those night shoots, man, I always say, like, for every hour you go after midnight, there's about 15 minutes lost to hysteria.
Right.
Just
No, I don't care if you have all the sleep in the world. When it's 3:30 in the morning,
you can't think straight.
You feel like a vampire.
You cannot think straight. It's
Right.
so difficult. And you have to be careful with people because they will start to just break down. Stupid things will start happening. There will be car accidents in parking lots. There will be, speeding tickets that shouldn't have happened. There will be all kinds of things that start to create the chaos.
Right.
Because things are getting hysterical.
It's a cumulative effect, which is why it's really important to just take care of the people that are working on your film. It's why you should have one day off. You know, I understand it's a very difficult thing to do.
The 7th day.
Yes, and on the 7th day, God rested.
And you really should. Because even if you're young, and like back in the day when we were super young doing this, we went for 12 or 14 days straight working, 18-hour days. We didn't care. But I can't say that we were making the best decisions after 5 or 6 days of that.
Oh, no.
Or even having enough creative juice. Because you just kind of get creatively dehydrated. Your brain's been on overdrive for so long. You're not going to have the best response or the
Sometimes
best idea.
You'll look at me and go, I'm burned. You come up with something.
Right. Sometimes you will walk up to me. Yeah. And you'll be like explaining something and it just turns into Chinese in my head. And I'm like, that's your problem right now. I have no brain capacity for that.
Well, honestly, feeding people well, making sure they're hydrated. Making sure people have sleep.
I have a story on that. I heard there was a movie that got made that you worked on helping cast extras.
Right.
And you were an extras casting assistant on this film. And I heard that they were treating extras really badly. They were bringing them in early, making them stay super late, and not even using them that entire time.
Yeah, just basically sitting and holding the entire day.
They were in holding.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to have extras in holding, and on our sets, extras work for 4 hours, period.
You get them in, you get them out. As quickly as possible.
Well, and because it's an independent film, this is why. Because in 4 hours, if you feed them a snack when they get there, they're out before a meal.
Right.
Okay? They got to be wrapped before lunch or dinner. So we give them a snack, they're wrapped before a meal. That costs a lot of money to feed those extras.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you got 30 or 50 extras.
That's a budgetary concern.
Absolutely.
So, and most extras who've been on set, they will bring their own snacks and stuff, and they know. But I heard of one of my good friends was an extra on this film, and she went many days. And it's a day rate, whether you were there for 5 hours or 15 hours.
No, man, it's crazy now because on independent films, like I'll look at the Atlantis Craigslist and they'll say, all day, $50.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
And then people are just like, okay, at least I'm getting something. But, that could be like a 14-hour, 16-hour day, man.
Yeah. Well, if somebody big was on the show and you thought you'd get to meet Morgan Freeman, you'd go do it for $50.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's like a big production, like a SAG production or something like that, they're probably going to pay the SAG rate. I think that's $125.
But anyway, so I heard from this extra, and she goes, they are just feeding us nothing. And they will feed the cast and crew, and then we will come in after everyone's cleared out and eat. And there's literally only like mixed greens of the salad left.
Right.
And like hardly any salad dressing, and like no protein or anything. So finally there was like a mini mutiny.
Right.
Where the extras fought back and threatened to leave if they didn't get fed that night. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they would start complaining, and then they might actually get them like 2 pizzas.
Right.
2 pizzas is like what? 16 pieces of pizza? And there would be 30 people back there.
Right.
What, are you gonna fight club for the pizza?
Hopefully.
So she said they really mutinied this night, and somebody went and cooked them spaghetti. Mm-hmm. And they brought it back, and she said, but they put eggs in the spaghetti.
Just drop an egg in there, baby.
And I'm like, what kind of spaghetti is that?
Yeah.
They literally had scrambled eggs in the spaghetti as a protein.
Honestly...
Maybe somebody eats their spaghetti that way. I don't know, but look, that's disgusting.
Guys, things go around, man. I mean, there's a legend that happens about every film.
Yeah.
It's either a good legend or it's a bad legend when it comes to the people that work on that film. Yeah. And what kind of legend do you want to be? Because it's going to be one of the two, man.
Well, you know what? In the extras world, my friend became the legend because she started bringing a crock pot of chili or a crock pot of soup or something every single day. And everybody loved her. And actually, I asked her to cater some of our films when I found that out, because I found out she was actually a really good cook.
Absolutely, man.
So anyway, but you have to take care of your people, and they always think that food is a way to cut the budget down.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No, well, it's not just food. It's just the way that the other people that are not above the line are being treated. Just in general, I really feel like the more everybody feels like they are all in it together, they're all in the same boat, they're all, and unfortunately there are some things that you can't do anything about. You can't do anything about the fact that the talent is supposed to eat before anybody else. It's like the talent eats, and then the above the line people eat, and then the extras eat last. That's a SAG rule, and there's really nothing you can do about that. But anything that you can do to just make people all feel like, look, we're all here, we're all creating together, we all need each other.
On a film that we were intimately involved with, they were not feeding breakfast. Mm-hmm. And we had lunch and dinner, but breakfast was not provided. But everybody was kind of like not eating until lunch, and that wasn't working. So you and I went out and bought a bunch of breakfast stuff, and every morning we would wake up and invite everybody over for breakfast. And they loved it, It
just creates a great energy and a great camaraderie and just a feeling of, we are...
we want you.
We are being thought of. We are thinking of you. You are thinking of us. Let's enjoy. We're going to be talking about this breakfast all day long, and how great it was. And it just, it creates a great vibe.
Yeah.
And movies are made with love, folks. And vibe is very, very important.
That is also where Actors Need Eggs come from.
Oh, yes. Actors need eggs.
I think a few breakfasts or even on Crafty, we didn't have like boiled eggs. And one of our actors came up and she was like, I really appreciate you like making breakfast for us, but actors need eggs.
Actors need eggs.
We need protein available at all times.
At all times.
And boiled eggs are like a really simple, shelf-safe thing.
I think that is a great way to end our podcast today, because if you've
learned nothing else... Shout out to Bernadette.
That's right.
Actors need eggs.
Actors need eggs.
It's hard not to get romantic about movies. Thanks for listening to Married to Movies. Jon and Tracy will meet you for breakfast tomorrow. Thanks to our sponsor, Movie Mode Merch, comfortable graphic tees made by and for awesome filmmakers to wear on set and off. Check them out on Insta at Movie Mode Merch.